My name is Eleanor. I am 35 years old, living in the rainy, evergreen suburbs of Seattle, Washington. There is a specific kind of poison that enters a home when a widower remarries for all the wrong reasons. My mother died when I was 6. 2 years later, my father married Valerie. She came with a perfectly polished smile, a closet full of designer clothes, and a daughter of her own named Brittany. For 25 years, I lived as a second-class citizen in my own home. Valerie was a master of psychological warfare. She never hit me, but she made sure I knew I was an outsider. Brittany was the golden child. If Brittany wanted a pony, my father worked overtime. If I needed new shoes for school, Valerie would hand me a catalog and tell me to find a summer job to learn responsibility. I learned to stay completely silent. My father owned a highly successful generational lumber and custom architectural woodwork factory. It sat on 3 acres of prime industrial real estate right outside the city. As we grew up, I learned the business from the ground floor. 8 months ago, my father suffered a massive, fatal heart attack. The grief completely hollowed me out. But Valerie and Brittany didn't miss a beat. They wore matching black Chanel to the funeral and spent the wake taking inventory. While my father was heavily medicated during a brief hospital stint a year prior, Valerie had him sign an updated will. She and Brittany inherited 90% of his estate, including total ownership of the multi-million-dollar lumber factory. I was left. They didn't just fire me. They wanted to erase my family's legacy. Within a month, Valerie and Brittany announced they were shutting down the 70-year-old factory, laying off all 50 workers and selling the entire business and the property to a massive corporate developer. I packed my desk in total silence. Brittany actually brought a bottle of champagne to the office on my last day, laughing with her mother about which European countries they were going to move to. I didn't scream. I didn't throw a fit, because while packing away my father's oldest filing cabinets, I found the original trust document. You see, my father owned the business, the machines, and the actual factory building, but the 3 acres of highly valuable Seattle land the factory sat on, that had been inherited by my biological mother. Before she died, she placed the land into an ironclad, irrevocable trust. Upon my father's death, the deed to the land bypassed. Valerie and Brittany were so blinded by greed that they didn't do a proper title search before signing the preliminary contract with the corporate developers. They signed a legally binding agreement promising to sell the business and the land. In exchange, over the next 3 months, I watched from afar as they blew through that $3 million. Valerie bought a massive, sprawling mansion in Palm Springs. Brittany bought a brand new Mercedes G-Wagon, a closet full of Rolex watches, and booked a month-long luxury vacation to Dubai. They were living like royalty on stolen money. I simply moved into a modest apartment, hired a ruthless real estate attorney, and waited. The trap finally snapped shut on a Tuesday morning. The corporate developers were doing their final legal diligence before closing the $15 million mega deal. Their lawyers pulled the official county property records. That is when they realized Valerie and Brittany didn't own a single. My phone rang at 2 p.m. It was Valerie. She was absolutely hysterical, screaming that there was a clerical error and demanding I drive down to the county office to sign the land over to them. I spoke to her for the first time in months. My voice was completely deadpan. I said, "Valerie, the land is—" Because Valerie and Brittany had signed a binding contract to deliver the land, they were in total breach of contract. The corporate developers didn't just cancel the deal. They unleashed a team of highly aggressive corporate lawyers and sued my stepfamily from mass. But Valerie and Brittany had already spent the advance. They were completely liquid poor. The fallout was absolutely spectacular. The bank immediately foreclosed on Valerie's new Palm Springs mansion. Brittany's Mercedes was repossessed right out of her driveway in the middle of the night. Their bank accounts were frozen, their credit was destroyed, and as for me, I leased my 3 acres of prime industrial land to a fantastic locally owned manufacturing company, ensuring my father's old workers got their jobs back. I collect a massive passive rent check every single month. My stepmother and stepsister tried to steal my entire life. Now they are working minimum wage retail jobs just to pay off their insurmountable legal debt. Checkmate.